Yo, what is up, guys? It is your boy, Keep It Real. Before we get to the topic at hand of today, which is Starfield, I want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you for leaving a like and subscribing. Thank you for staying here and watching my videos and supporting the channel. Anyway, even if you don't like and subscribe and you just leave a content to provoke my thoughts, thank you. Now let's get to Starfield. So, I'm just going to say Starfield, Bethesda, Xbox. No PlayStation. And I'm saying that not to clown on PlayStation, but I'm telling you that because those are the big topics being discussed in the gaming industry right now. Because people that have Starfield make fun of PlayStation, and people that don't have Starfield say that it's the worst game they've ever seen. I can't really pick a side because I don't belong to either one. And I couldn't care less about partaking in a fake war. Consoles shouldn't have exclusives. They should allow each other to have each other's games, but they should provide a service that draws people to that console. So, let's look at the Starfield Steam chart. Its all-time peak was 269,000, and its 24-hour peak is 258,000, but if you guys see, it's been like an ocean. It's up and down and up and down and up and down. And you know what? It may continue to do that till the game just completely flatlines. It might. Or it might bounce up. But I am not talking about that today. I'm going to talk about how I feel about the game after looking at some reviews and some content about the game. So, let's look at the Metacritic reviews. Here we go. It sits at 85 critic reviews on the Xbox Series X with 61. And then we sit at a user score of 6.3, 4,088 ratings. But real quick, before I go down to the reviews, take a quick look at this. When you look at the critic reviews, yes, some of them are paid, but look at this. 54, then 6, and then 1 negative. Let's look at the 1 negative, guys. If you're the kind of person who thinks video games peaked with Fallout 3's launch, and they've required neither evolution nor improvement since this game is absolutely for you. If you believe Bethesda doesn't need to exhibit growth as an artistic outlet and hasn't had to change a thing about the way it's made games since 2008, I can safely say you'll adore Starfield because it's all that a Bethesda game has always been, and literally nothing more. Starfield is a shallow ocean hiding its lack of creative ambition behind the physical size of a universe that's minuscule where it counts. In short, it's everything a fan of these games could love. So you see how this person frames it. I love this review. I don't love this review because of the score. I love it because of the way they stated their review. Starfield is a game that you will either adore because you like the Bethesda style, or you will absolutely hate because it's the Bethesda style. There's no in between. You're either a Bethesda follower or a Bethesda hater. Personally, I've always liked the Bethesda formula. It's so dumb, it's easy. They don't overcomplicate. I can make it as difficult as I want. I can be a sneaker. I can just shoot people for no reason. But let's look at the PC reviews for the critics. 87 on Metascore with 57 critic reviews. It's sitting at a 52 positive, 5 mixed. Now let's look at the mix. Let's look at the lowest scored mix, guys. Oh, they're all 70s. Eurogamer. Starfield seems to be formed by many great ideas, many of which have not been thought through and refined. Agreed. Time flies, video games have changed, gamers change. Meanwhile, Bethesda stays true to its conservative concept of game development and dusty mechanics, which is disappointing for such an anticipated title. Goodness. But all of that is only part of the story because nevertheless, Starfield has great moments. See? Because you're seeing that the game is not a 10 out of 10 and it's sitting at 70s and 80s in the critic reviews, it doesn't invalidate any negative reviews. As a matter of fact, it doesn't invalidate any positives because if a reviewer likes Bethesda style, what are they going to say? This is a 10 out of 10. If they hate it, what are they going to say? Bethesda's old mechanics, guys. So before you go and rant about Starfield, play the game. Let's look at some of the user reviews. As a matter of fact, let's look at the user score. It's sitting at a 5.5 on the PC with 1,638 positive and then negative 1,583. Hold up, let me look at that. What is this? What? Lord, have mercy. I'm not trying to get canceled. So, let's look at some of these negative reviews for the user scores, guys. One, let's just go to the first one review that I see. Outdated game, outdated engine, outdated dev team, outdated CEO. Okay, why these? Why? You see what I'm saying? Let me start. I am a owner of the premium edition, so I have been familiar with this production for a few days. First at all, I will honestly state that I feel cheated out of $100. You can refund it. And just to be clear, I based my decision to buy not on hype or rumors, but on carefully following official information from the developer publisher, including their CEOs, so I don't feel like a dumb sucker, but like a person who was deliberately lied to. I want nothing to do with with future products with the Microsoft and Bethesda logos. But about that, in the summary of the end, I begin the technical aspects. I'm not going to get into that. I'll get into that after I see these reviews. So that was one. Let's go to another one. Starfield, a game that fell short of its promises made like many before it. Bethesda shows us again that marketing means more than development. Sweat off the hype surrounding space exploration, take a giant leap back, and observe what has really been provided to us here. Starfield is about exploring space, or at least that's what I was supposed to be, what it was supposed to be about. You will often find yourself repeating the same fetch quest over and over once you complete the mind-numbing, overly long tutorial. Once you get into the groove, though, you will quickly find out that the game contains much repetition broke up by the same loading screens, and that you are not as free as you thought you would be. Let's stop right there. A skeptic gamer, I completely agree. The game is not as open as I would like. As a matter of fact, the game is not really open at all. It's very linear to a certain degree. It's the largest Bethesda game, but it feels the least open world. And yes, that is bad, but it's also not. And again, I'll get into that after I finish talking about these reviews, these glitches, just looking at the overall things. So everybody knows the infamous missing person. The facial, I don't know what goes on with them, but that's like infamous for Bethesda games. Those have always been around, and I'm pretty sure that's due to their engine. I haven't experienced this glitch, but some people have. Now, this one, I'd like to point out that if you guys look very closely, right, when he's speaking to her, if you look around her head, it's like it's moving around, and in the game, there is a chameleon helmet that when you crouch, your body becomes completely, and this part of your body becomes invisible. So I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason there is a glitch with the helmet and this character, Andrea. So I don't really think that's a bug. Well, it's a bug, but it's not really like something that reloading the game couldn't fix. Let's look at this one. Just floating through the wall, I guess. I see, like, Bethesda games just have the weirdest glitches. They never make any sense. They're just random. They're seriously random. I just don't understand. And this one, this is a negative thing that I want to talk about. This is something that I have experienced, and I do not like it when companies do this. Right here. Look at this guy's face, right? Peter's face. Then look at a random NPC. Dude, this is the true NPC. When I think NPC, I think this guy. Why does he look like this? And this guy look like he came out of a PS2 game. Starfield has its moments where it looks beautiful. And then for some reason, like on certain planets, the sand will look like it's completely two different textures overlapping. And it just looks like this. Like it's just sitting on there. And I hate it because sometimes the game does look great. But then it has the weird, muddy, murky water where it looks like absolute doggy doo-doo. And I don't want to look at any more glitches because glitches is fine. I mean, they're not fine. That's not what I'm related to. But it's not everybody's going to experience it, and some people will love it regardless of the glitches. I want to watch this video so you guys can see, some of those reviews said the worlds were empty. So I want to show you what exactly they're talking about. Not that this is going to show all empty planets. It's going to show planets that are inhabited, that have people on it. But it's going to show you those empty planets as well. And I'll leave a link down below so you guys can watch it if you guys feel like it. But Neon is my favorite place so far. Aquila. Right, so take a look at that. Take a look at that. This is what I'm saying. This is one of those times where I completely agree with that statement. But there are also times where you spawn in and it is a whole like area where you can explore and there's bases that you can run into. It's just a hit or miss, and it's so tough to want to just be there for the game and completely support it when I know there was a possibility that they could have provided a much better game. And I'm not showing my own gameplay because, like they said, like the performance is a little rough. Like I get like 45 FPS, and I don't feel like recording that and showing you guys 45 FPS. I want to show you guys 60 FPS because that's really how this game should be experienced. It is phenomenal when it hits 60. It is buttery when it hits 60. But you see, it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like you can either just run into one of the like coolest areas or you just run into like nothingness. It's just so weird to me why Bethesda couldn't have enhanced that further. This video, sorry for just abruptly ending that one. This video is about this lady. Everybody probably knows her because she made a video about flying. She spent 7 hours flying to Pluto only to get to Pluto and not be able to land there. So she went to Pluto and then she just phases right through it. I'm going to skip right to the end so you guys can see. But see what Pluto looks like? Look at this. Look how muddy that looks. Like, I'm not trying to justify anything Bethesda does, but they allowed it so you have to fly for 7 hours to get to Pluto in Starfield. So you can't fly planet to planet. And when you get there, you just phase right through it. There's no landing. You just kind of sit right on top of it. There's no the worlds are just basically a 2D picture. And that is a complaint that I have. So now I want to get to how I feel about the game. Starfield to me has been quite an experience. It's not been my favorite game of the year. That is given to Baldur's Gate 3. And that sounds corny because it might be a lot of people's game of the year, but it is definitely mine. So jumping into Starfield is like a big dramatic fall in the like character animation dialogue. I don't like the voice acting. I don't know. Something in Starfield is just missing. Like their facial expressions when they're expressing a mad or sad emotion is just very outdated. It's very stiff, and it just doesn't feel natural for the characters to make their faces move that way. And it's sad because at times, for example, if you're speaking to Sarah, she'll make emotions that do look like that. But Bethesda has always had that issue with NPCs where they just look so stiff and like they don't want to be there. After getting out of that dialogue and the characters being stiff, the combat is phenomenal. I do like the combat. I don't care what anybody says. This is my opinion. I have fun doing Bethesda fighting. Not in the old games, but in this game, I do. Other than Skyrim. Skyrim was one of my favorite games, and it was just because I like slicing people up. In this game, you get to shoot, you get to slice, you get to do all of that, and it does feel very smooth. There's none of that clunkiness that was present in Fallout 4, but nonetheless, it's here, and the boost pack does provide an engaging experience if you're into getting those high ground positions and trying to figure out what's best for you, what best approach you should take. Exploration. Exploration is my biggest worry with the game, because exploration is found in the game. You can spend hours just exploring a planet, but sometimes, like those reviews said, where they were lower negative reviews, is that it's empty. Sometimes the world is completely empty, and you go and look at a structure, and then you just fast travel back to your ship. But in some planets, like when you land on the planet that New Atlantis is in, you land on Earth, you see like caves and like enemies and pirate bases that you can run into, and that's, to me, is what the entirety of the game should be like. If I go to a planet, it should be populated with something. It should have something there other than materials. And Bethesda, update that, because it is a bad thing present in the game to have planets that are completely empty and all you can do is land on it and get supplies. That is a bad thing. I do wish that Starfield had vehicle transportation in the game, because sometimes the waypoints or the points of interest are further than they should be. And this is not Skyrim or Fallout. There's not enemies in every single corner waiting to kill you, or, you know, I don't even know what to say, giants sitting in at a random campfire and you could just invade and attack. It's not like that. Sometimes it's literally empty. And finally, I want to end the video talking about a story. A lot of people have been ragging on Starfield because it takes a very long time to get into the juice of the story. But I gotta tell you, once you get into the juice of the story, I feel like the game becomes so much better. Like, it, at least, if you rate it at a 70 and you get to that point, it's at least an 80 for you. Maybe a 75. But for me, when I got to that point in the game where I found the artifact temple, I was having a blast from that point on. And I was having fun at the beginning, but after that point, I found myself wanting to play the game more and more and more, trying to get those new powers to figure out what it feels, because I felt like Darth Vader, baby. Again, my opinions are mine alone. If you enjoy games that Bethesda have released in the past and you don't mind that it's still like that same gameplay, you're probably going to adore Starfield. If you don't like the way Bethesda makes their games and you like a more realistic, more fantasy-esque game, like if you like what God of War does, you're probably going to hate the way Bethesda does their thing. But you can like both. But if your main game is like 2K COD, or like don't get this if you want to play a FPS, because there's times where you're just walking and you never pick up, you never shoot anything. This is not a first person shooter. It's a star planet lander game. I mean, I really can't say the words, but I am having fun. I just like the Bethesda style. I mean, to this day I still play Skyrim, so I don't really care much about graphics. I don't really care much about anything else other than bringing that conversation that I can have with NPCs and the choices I can make that make people angry or make them happy, you know. I am enjoying it. I will say, do your due diligence before you pre-order games and you buy $70 games, because they decided to raise the prices of them now, so it is what it is. But look up and make sure that it's a game you want to try out. I personally would go back and probably try the game out on Game Pass first to see if I wanted to keep playing it. You can always do I think they got rid of the trial, but you can always do like a month, play the game. If you like it, keep it going, or buy the game when the price drops, or just never play it again. Play it for 1 hour and then never play it again, and then play other Xbox games. You know what I'm saying? So, without further ado, I want to say thank you again. Remember to leave a like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Don't let anybody's opinion change how you feel about certain things. Don't let anybody's opinion stop you from pursuing something that you want to. Keep it real. Out.